around the world. It's Learn Ubuntu Live, presented by LearnUbuntu.org, with your host, Tom Judge.
And here we are, the presentation for you from Learn Ubuntu Live, email and messaging. This is from the Ubuntu Internet Fundamentals course, and this presentation is all about email and messaging. And again, you may say, well, I already know how to do that, but you'd be surprised. We're going to teach you some neat things. Ubuntu offers some very nice clients. If you're like me and you have multiple email clients, I have several email addresses. I have a Gmail, I have my Learn Ubuntu mail, I have Hotmail, I have Yahoo Mail, I have several chats. I have Yahoo Chat, I have my Learn Ubuntu Chat, Google Talk Chat. Do you want to open a separate application for each one? Or do you want to open one application that'll let you catch up on a couple at once? Same thing with the social sites, Facebook and Twitter. There's a thing called Gwibber that I'm going to show you, that you can use to condense all of your media into one application, all your social media. It's pretty cool. So, anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be talking about on this class. So, let's start with our presentation on an introduction to email and messaging. Now we know, because we saw the previous presentation on the history of the Internet, and we all pay attention, I'm sure, that one of the Internet founders, Ray Tomlinson, introduced us to email in 1972. And at the heart of email is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. That's what makes email work. Now, you have multiple email clients that you can use. Here I'm showing you the Microsoft Outlook one, and also the Evolution email client. There's also web-based email you can use, which is nice if you're at somebody else's computer and you want to check your email. You can go to the web page and check it. That's the whole point of it. But I don't want to have to go to 3 different browser addresses to check 3 different email accounts. That's why I use all my email either through my Evolution mail client on my workstation, or on my Android pad I have a mail client that lets me have multiple addresses. So I don't have to keep going back and forth between web pages. Now, there are different types of mail service. We mentioned SMTP earlier. SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, is what gets mail from one point to the other. But when it gets to that point where it has to be delivered, we need a mailbox of some kind. In this illustration, we're showing you the POP, the Post Office Protocol, which is a legacy protocol that still works well. Now, and here's an illustration that shows us a SMPTE relay mail server, the POP Post Office server, and the client workstation. And all these 3 work together through that mail application that we mentioned earlier, either Evolution, or if you're still in Windows, it's probably the Outlook thing, or Thunderbird, which is also a popular one. I think we're going to mention that soon. But here's some terms we should be familiar with if we want to be serious players in the mail business. MUA, a mail user agent, such as Evolution, or Outlook, or Thunderbird. MTA, the mail transfer agent. Those are the SMTP servers. Okay? Then we have Post Office Protocol, or Internet Mail Application Protocol, which works with the message delivery agent to a message store that has to be somewhere on that mail server that receives email, which is different than the SMPTE server, and it's important to note that. The mail server that receives the email has to have a way of receiving it and storing it for you to pick up when you're ready to read your mail. So we either have a POP or an IMAP server that does that, working along with a mail store. Now, many times the mail store is part of that server itself. And the message delivery agent, which verifies that there is a user with that name and that domain, and the mail server is set to receive it. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes in email that most of us may not realize. Now here's some common email protocols and the ports that they run at, and believe me, you can also run at different ports. That's added security. SMTP, the basic simple mail transfer protocol, runs at port 25. The POP protocol runs at port 110, and the IMAP protocol runs at 143. Now, along with these, a lot of mail clients can also use a TLS or another encryption scheme for more security, and that will also run another port as well. Email clients usually require separate settings for servers for sending and receiving. That's the big trick to setting for an email client. If it's the first time you've done it, you go through the settings and you get the second settings for the second server. You think, wait, I just did this. Well, no, you didn't, okay? Because you have settings for an SMTP server for receiving mail, for sending mail, and you have sessions with a POP3 or IMAP server for receiving. So you have sending and receiving, and it's usually two different servers. Now, you can have one physical server running both those servers in the same box, okay? But each one is seen as a different server running at a different port. Now, here's a shot of the Evolution email client in an older version of Ubuntu Studio. You see you have inboxes, and you can have multiple email accounts on that, which is very helpful. Here I mentioned earlier is the Thunderbird email client, which seems to be coming pre-installed with the newer Ubuntu distributions. I actually just set it up the other night and tested it out myself on one account. Seems to work okay. Now, let's look at the anatomy of an email address. It's very important that it's typed correctly, and the format is user@domain.root. So there's my address, tvjudge@learnubuntu.org. Note how it's similar to a URL in some ways, that it shares the domain and root. Normally it doesn't have a host, but it could. I've seen some email addresses that are a username at mail.domain.root. That's entirely possible. But it's important that these protocols are right. We're going to see these protocols used in HTML code coming up soon, so you need to know what this is to tell it from the code when you're learning how to write the code. Now, all Internet mail servers must have an MX record, which is part of DNS records for that domain. Now, we covered DNS earlier. We really didn't mention the MX record too much. It's just a line in the host file for that domain that tells what the IP address is of the server that's supposed to receive emails. And that server is supposed to have the user accounts established so it can receive emails for those users. Now, there's virtual server setups and all kinds of stuff you can do. And our ISP admin course are going to go into all that kind of neat stuff for you guys that want to do that. And girls, too, of course. But for now, let's keep it simple. This is our first Internet course. So normally you have to deal with either a SMTP server and a POP3 server, or a SMTP server and an IMAP server, if you're going to set up your email client. And we cover all this in the lab exercises for this course, in detail. Now, in our first lab exercise, we actually set up a Gmail account. They're free, so why not? And you can use that. So we walk you through the details of that. We're not going to cover the details here. That's what the labs are for. You go through these various forms and fill in the information, and when you're all done, you have a Gmail account. Now, in the next lab of this chapter, what we're going to do is we're going to use that Gmail account, only we're going to set up Evolution so we can have our email sent and received by our Evolution mail client. And if you choose to use Thunderbird, we're probably going to come up with some instructions on that in the near future for this course and add it in. For now, if you look at it's going to be the same fields, the same requirements for each mail server. She tried Thunderbird with Gmail, and I was very impressed because all I did was put in my Gmail address and it figured out everything else and set it up for me. It was really cool. I have to give them a heads up for that. Now, let's talk about the protocols. And the POP protocol, which is the legacy protocol, there's reasons why people move to IMAP, and we're going to see that soon. Okay, the POP protocol, if you Connect, it downloads all your mail to the inbox on that computer. So if you're at work and you check your email and it downloads all your email, you go home and you check your email and you have nothing because it's all on the other computer. Now there's ways with POP that you can actually tell it to leave the mail on the server, but it becomes awkward after a while. The better, newer protocol that I personally use myself is the IMAP. Well, I haven't been able to get to work with Outlook. My Hotmail's become Outlook, and Microsoft has to do everything their way. But with IMAP, for my Yahoo and for my Gmail and my Learn Ubuntu mail, works very nice in my mail client, both on my Android phone and on my tablet and my workstations. And no matter what workstation I go to or what phone I go to, my mail is all there because they're all using IMAP. So it's a very cool protocol. I recommend it. So in this illustration, you see John checks his work at mail using IMAP, and it's there. Somebody goes, oh, gee, I want to check this email again, and the mail is also still there, unless he deletes it. If you delete something in IMAP at one location, chances are it'll be gone at another location. Now, some email cautions, okay? Email can carry dangerous things to your computer if you're not careful, like viruses, spam, which is mostly an annoyance, but can be bad. There are some pretty cool spam programs. Spam Assassin is one that I use on my mail server. You can also use it on your mail client. Unfortunately, though, sometimes emails get missed. Like, for instance, when people sign up for this course sometimes or sign up for a Learn Ubuntu account, the email comes to them, info@learnubuntu.org, and sometimes it ends up in your junk mail. So take a look there if you're still trying to sign up. The second thing is, I guess I said, viruses. Not so much a problem with Linux, but keep in mind you can carry a virus on a Linux machine. It can't do anything. Then you plug your memory stick in a Windows machine, you've given that virus to the Windows machine. So be careful with that. Make sure you protect it. There is a Clam antivirus free for Linux. You can install it. I have it on my machines. Attachments. Another ploy you got to watch out for, especially if you get an email from somebody you don't know with an attachment. Don't open it. Okay, if your friend sends you an attachment with directions to his party, of course that's fine. But if somebody you don't know sends you an email, or if you get a strange-looking email that looks like it's from a friend, but it's saying funny things, it could be somebody hacked their account. So you got to watch. There's always people out there. There's as many people looking to do bad things as good things on the internet. It seems some days, although that's probably not quite true. I like to think there's more good than bad in the whole world. At any rate, usually you can limit your attachments. 5 meg seems to be the going rate these days. Sometimes you can attach more, but keep in mind, if you send somebody a big attachment, it's going to take them longer to download their email. So if they're in a low bandwidth area or they're paying for their download data on a phone plan or something, it get expensive. So be wary of sending too large attachments. Golf ball through the garden hose routine. You don't want to do that. In Lab Exercise 3, speaking of attachments, we walk you through the steps of sending an email to somebody with an attachment, just to make sure you can do it. Don't be insulted by the simplicity of this lab, please. But if a student's having troubles, I want to be able to say, send me your file as an attachment so I can look at it. Instant messaging. The other part of this chapter deals with instant messaging. And again, like email, you can use web-based clients or proprietary clients for each service you use, or you can use a thing called Pigeon or Empathy, and I believe we go through Empathy in one of the labs of this course, setting that up, to pull all your different chat accounts into one location. So you can chat with different people on different channels for different providers all at the same time. I have mine set up on my phone and on my tablet. We're about to lose this here. Hold on. Let's see if I can get it. I don't want to do that. Pardon me. See if I can get a screenshot of this. If I go into I have a thing called XJabber that I use, because most of the stuff is Jabber. I don't know if you can see that screenshot. I have all of my chat accounts on there, including the, there we go, it's better, including the Learn Ubuntu chat room, I had the Learn Ubuntu chat room on here, the Learn Ubuntu help chat room, and all my other accounts on here. If somebody's trying to get a hold of me, I get a notification right here. So, becoming proficient on the internet, which is part of this course, includes understanding all these, how to use all these chats and chat clients. So we do walk you through that. We use chat in our live presentations. Here's a page, a Jabber client and server we have set up, and people can chat as we do the live presentations. And you can set up an account to this chat conference through a regular client, like I said earlier. Now, here's some interesting and popular ports. If you're working at home on a router through a firewall, you need to be aware that these ports have to be open in order for these chats to work. If you have your firewall set up securely, which is blocking everything except what you want. And these are the things you want to let through if you want to use these chat servers. So, there's a lot of different instant messaging providers. There's Yahoo. I met my wife with Yahoo. We courted on Yahoo for years. We were married almost 8 years now, God bless her. My angel of grace. There's Facebook chat now. That's a relative newcomer. They're using XMPP. That's the new popular chat format is XMPP. There's still some proprietary ones, like Yahoo doesn't use XMPP. MSN Messenger and AIM, I think they're all proprietary also. Google Talk uses XMPP. Facebook uses XM. I have my Google Talk and my Facebook and my Learn Ubuntu chat all on here. And I also have my Pigeon in my workstation. So we start you with Empathy and show you how to set up multiple accounts on that. You can also try Pigeon if you want. If you use Empathy or Pigeon, when you come to the Learn Ubuntu chat, you should be able to check a little box that says Make Account, and the server is open and will let you make a new student account. And it's here for you to use. If you're a student, feel free to use the chat to collaborate with other students and see if you catch me on the chat as well. We're here to help you. And here's a shot showing our Learn Ubuntu help chat. You don't even need to log in to use this. Just put any nickname you want in there. As long as it's not being currently used, you're in. And that goes directly to my tablet and phone as well. Now, we also have blogging and social sites, Facebook and Twitter. And in one of the readings for this chapter, we introduce you to these and to a thing called Gwibber. And then we give you a homework assignment to try and set up your Twitter and Facebook accounts in Gwibber. And also, you can set up a Twitter and Facebook account for free. We all know that, I hope. So set up those accounts first if you're going to do this homework. Or should I say, when you do this homework. Set up the accounts first and set up Gwibber so you can access them there. That's kind of handy. So, in this chapter, by the time you're done, you should have set up Evolution to access all your email accounts, or at least the Gmail account that we have you make. Then set up Empathy so we can access multiple chat servers in one place. And finally, in the last reading, where we learned about social networks and Gwibber, we do a homework assignment and set up Gwibber to get our Facebook and our Twitter chats. Bloggings. Call them bloggings. Bloggings are like, you know, and all, if you look at it, it's all similar to email. Email, you had to send the mail and get the whole mail. And in chat, you can send a message one line at a time. And blogging, you're just posting a message somewhere where everybody sees it that subscribes to you. So they're all somewhat related, but they do run different protocols, different ports. So you have to keep all that straight when you set up your clients. But the important thing is to be connected, especially if you're trying to take an internet course online. Being connected in many ways is helpful. You'll get more help that way. So, here's the conclusion for this presentation. This chapter will get us up to speed on email, chat, and blogging. And by the time you're done, you should be all set and hooked up, and you should have no problem contacting me if you need help. Because I'm here to help. I want to make that point very clear. So we hope you enjoyed this presentation, and that you'll come back to join us again as we do more of these. There's a presentation for each chapter of each course here, and they're also all available, and they're all available for viewing in our archive section, the video archives. Right from our homepage, you can find the button for video archives, and you can search and locate all the presentations we've done and replay them at your own time.
Portions of this program were pre-recorded.